commissioned by Corp to come and carry out a participatory video workshop, but that also doubled as an evaluation workshop for their program called LEAP, which aims to do reconciliation through sport and also peace dialogue with adults. And they wanted to use participatory video to look at the impacts of that program on the youth. So we combined PV to most significant change technique, which is a storytelling method that selects the most significant change. So it asks participants in a program to say, what was the most significant change for you when you were doing the LEAP program? And then you select different themes. Say we had a theme that said your view of the future, your skills, how to handle conflict, and the way that you view other tribes. And we went around Eldoret in Kenya asking people about what was most significant changes in their lives around those three themes. So we ended up making 12 films, 2 of which are right now on the website. My take on it is that we live in a world where development exists and has its faults. And I really believe that using participatory communications and using the mechanisms that exist in the development industry and trying to find a fit, and it's not always perfect, and sometimes it will miss the point and it's cumbersome, but when it does work like it did in Kenya for LEAP, it's magic. And I do think that we need to improve the way we deliver aid, and we do need to hear what people have been living through, but also to take it out, because stories will change minds. Yes, we need numbers, yes, we need to say how many people have access to water and that stuff, but what will change a policymaker's mind is hearing a powerful story. And it's really powerful when it comes directly from that person who lived it. I think that to bring participatory video to Merskor and LEAP in Kenya offered a mirror for youth to see how much they've changed, in fact. And it was an opportunity for youth to come together from different tribes, hear each other's stories, because you put a group together and then they tell each other's their most significant change on that theme. We're sitting in a group of 10, and all of us will tell each other our stories about how we changed our perceptions on other tribes. So you're sitting there, you're Kikuyu, and you're hearing a Kalenjin saying the same thing that you want to say about the other tribes, and you realize, that guy's just like me. So that's the first stage, and that's the most significant change that does that. But then you have to shoot the story together, so you have to act it out. So you have to act the violence again. In this case, it was about violence, but it could be about other things. And acting is always really cathartic, and it does induce change and reflection, and it does get emotions out. And then people have to watch that again as a group. And when you see yourself committing acts of violence, or when you see others, or you see yourself just being beaten or whatever, it induces another reflection process. And I think participatory video is extremely valuable in that the emphasis on screening back is so strong in key that it allows people that space to think about what they've done and think about how they've changed and who the people around them are. And then they had to debate afterwards what were the most significant videos or stories. And I think that had those been written on paper, you wouldn't have had the same grasp of what each other lived, because you would have had to read, and those guys are not necessarily very literate, or even reading is just not the same as sitting and watching somebody act. It's much more vivid and alive and real. And so I think participatory video in fact takes most significant change technique to a whole different level, and it covers a lot of its gaps in terms of the fact that it's paper-based. Yeah, and I just think the participatory video brought people together and gave a face to the evaluation. For that project, the most difficult thing was the sheer number of stories we collected. In fact, I expected that we might collect 6 or 9. We collected 12, so that means we had 12 films to edit in 3 days. And so that was a big challenge, but the people we were working with were really talented and keen, and so we overcame that quite easily. The films that we made with the groups that we worked with the youth, we took them back and we gave them to a fantastic editor named Jacob Redman that we work with. And he cut those and added effects, and we shortened them and we tightened the scripts. And those are going to be screened in Portland to a US audience. And I think that's really, it's wonderful to see that participatory video can be more accessible to more people. So a film that's made by non-professionals can be screened and can be interesting and can have an impact to more than the groups who made it. Because that's where it's really relevant. But then it's beautiful to repackage it with their permission and make it something that's palpable for an audience who wouldn't be into a 20-minute video with shaky cameras. And it's great to bridge that gap. Peter Gautama is one of the youth we worked with, and when he told his story the first day, it was the first day of the evaluation, you could see everybody in the room just be quite taken. And of course I don't understand Swahili, so I'm just looking at people's body language, and I got the story translated, and it ended up being that Peter was with his uncle, and his uncle got mobbed or beaten in front of him and died. And he spent quite a long time on drugs, and through sports, actually, he started living again. He became very, very depressed and had no emotions left. You know, and by interaction on the field, he changed his outlook on life. And what was beautiful about his story is that he said, "I'm not completely cured, but I know I've changed, and I know I'm willing to get rid of that rage that's eating me, because I know it will destroy me." And it was so authentic what he told us. But what was more is that he told the story the first time in a group, then we filmed it, which was difficult for him, and then we watched it right away. It was all, again, really difficult for him, I think. And we came back with the finished product, because we acted out his story as well, and we mixed it together in the computer. And that time, when he saw himself for the third time, I don't know, something, a light bulb came through, and he just said, "You know what? I've changed, and I'm so proud of what I've done, and I've seen my progress, and and that was really hard for me to watch this, but now I feel happy." And that whole transition where he really had to live some difficult moments, telling us this stuff, and then him realizing that things are better for him now. And that made the whole, I think that made my whole work in participatory video worthwhile.